All right, welcome everyone. Jared Napolitano, aka JNAP here, marketing advocate for the PC. We are in for a special stream tonight. With me, I have Will Tarbox. Say hi to everybody, Will.
How's it going?
Yeah, so this is going to be Game 6 of Event 1 of the 2023 Retro League. The format is Premiere-Hoth. We have two 5-0 players. One of them is Paul Todd Feldman, four-time Worlds finalist, defending Retro League champion, winner of the 2022 Premiere to a New Hope format event in the Retro League. So there is no Premiere to a New Hope this year, but we're doing a Premiere to Hoth, so this is pretty close, and he's looking strong as well against 5-0 John Carr, who is presumably a returning player. I haven't known too much about him. He played in 3 of the events last year and finished in second place, second place in the 5th and final event, Premiere Deflections 2. So John will be light, Paul will be dark, and Will and I are both in the league as well. It's a fun time, right?
Premiere-Hoth is really, I find it really fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's some random, there's some randomness to it. It can be frustrating sometimes too, but you don't draw sites or just don't draw locations. That can be really frustrating. But
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I find Premiere-Hoth to be very fun, very entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're waiting for the game. The game should fire any moment. Looks like John just said ready in the chat. Streaming ready.
Yep.
So yeah, we made a more conscious effort this year to do these live. Sometimes, or I shouldn't say sometimes. There's lots of pros to doing them live. One of the drawbacks is it's a little bit of a longer stream. So if you're watching this on replay, on YouTube channel after the video is imported, it'll take a little longer, and we can but the benefits is we can kind of talk through and speculate and kind of see things happening live, which is always fun. So the game has fired, and we'll see a big shocker here. We have a Death Star for the dark side starting location and Obi-Wan's hut for the light side, which I'm sure our technology advocate Adam Fletcher, aka Echo Base Trooper, will do stats and data for this event, and I would bet these are far and away the most common starting locations, right?
Yeah, Death Star is a little bit to me is a little bit scary to start with. I'm not comfortable with unless I have a lot of space in my deck.
Right.
But because just see Tantive 4 get played a lot, and then they just focus on controlling the light side, just focus on controlling Death Star, and then you end up getting smoked for big force strains. But yeah, you get a lot of force for it, so.
And the one big benefit, of course, or one of the big, well, besides the 3 icons, of course, but it's immune to Revolution, which is very popular. So you don't get your icons taken away. So John puts out the holotable. And yeah, Obi-Wan's hut's also pretty nice. But this can also become a liability as well with a Drain 3 if Darkseid takes it over.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the unique things about this format is how you want to play these locations, but there's always the big draw. Seems like there's always a big drawback to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as we usually see, the early turns for this format's like draw, drop a location or two, draw, hope you don't get Monarch or Grimtoshed out a bunch of good cards, right?
Yep. Such a strong card. Those are such strong cards.
All right, so Paul goes with Obi to the hut for just 2 force, presumably maybe a lightsaber and a lightsaber proficiency at some point.
Now he's set up to be able to use Sense and Alter.
Yep.
Having Obi-Wan down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're go ahead. Sorry.
So JPC he saved Force last turn, huh?
Yeah, only 7 cards in hand, but now he's got 10 to work with. Let's see what he does here. Of course, Presence of the Force could be a thing. He could come down with Vader, a saber. Maybe he's got a pretty sweet hand and maybe he's going to try to capitalize here. But
There's
immediately,
the altar.
yep. All right. No grabber of either type. So presumably no sense in that 6-card hand either for John.
Probably He's probably really hoping that Presence of the Force was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, if you're just tuning into this, live or on replay, and you're like, "Wow, this is cool, Star Wars CCG." This league. There's 4 more events. The second event is going to be Premiere through Endor, and registration is going to be open on that through March 10th ish, I would say. And the event will start on March 12th. You can join that. The middle event is going to be Premiere to Death Star 2. Fourth event, Premiere to Jabba's Palace Seal Decks. That adds in, it's similar to Premiere Death Star 2, but also has some pretty significant changes. And then finally, we'll do Premiere to Reflections 2 with a wrinkle this year of Agents of Black Sun and Watch Your Step being banned, which should change that format a lot. Hopefully, make it a little more fair and open. As in game action, we see the Tatooine Utility Belt come out, which would protect him from Circles Now Complete, of course, right? Because that just compares power.
Yep.
But yeah, Will, at some point maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the U.S. Nationals as we see a spy come down here, because they are doing, or the PCs are going to be holding a retro event on Friday evening at 6 p.m. Not sure if you're able or planning to go to that, but that should be a fun time.
I'm definitely planning on going to that. That'll be
Nice.
For me, I will be focusing probably more time and energy on that for that event than I will be for the Open. But
Awesome.
Premiere Death Star 2 is just too fun. Like it is my favorite format for sure. And I've been working on getting some like Japanese cards and just to kind of trick out my deck a little bit, to make it a little bit
nice. Yeah, that'd be cool.
A little blingy.
Yeah, we have some action here. We have Vader, Tarkin, and Garindin. He only draws a 1. Paul with a nice draw, which I'm never a fan of when I never say that to people because it's like you build your deck, like he probably has 5 Vaders and 2 or 3 Tarkins, and I guess his hand size isn't that big, so maybe that's where Paul's comment's coming from. But 5 battle damage here, or 6, and Paul's going to peel it all.
Oh, interesting.
And he's only activating 4, so he better have some characters to reinforce, or he's going to be kind of stuck here. Man, that's amazing. He draws the location. It would have been canceled anyway, but Paul's really both players are pretty force choked here, but even worse for Paul.
Yeah, I would not want to see Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin at Obi-Wan's hut when I'm only generating 4 force a turn. That is.
Yeah, it's tough to cut through, man. Tarkin is such a beast in this format. Like you need to get like a Don't Get Cocky or a Gift to the Mentor or something to get multiple battle destinies.
Yep.
Or maybe a lightsaber or 2 to just eventually cut through them. But against me in I think it was my last match, my game 5, my opponent put Tarkin and Vader in like Blizzard 1. And it's like, well, now I can't slice either of you. And you're just going to cancel my draw. So I really need to get multiple draws or just run away.
Run away. Yep, run away. Get an undercover spy there. That's all you can do.
All right, so he's got a Luke. Maybe he's got like an old Ben or something too. But that, of course, is susceptible to a sense. KFC.
Yeah.
All right.
Gift to the Mentor maybe too.
Yeah, that would be huge. And if Paul plays Gift to the Mentor here, if I'm John, I say nice draw. But yeah, good. Obviously, a pro play here by Paul just to pass, because if he just battles, he could really open himself up to a counter beat. Better just kind of bide some time here, as they're going to be duking it out over this slate probably for a while.
So that was a pretty good turn there with 4 force to play Luke and another guy. Cal is pretty good.
Oh, I have these sides mixed up in the description here. Let me fix that. And of course, if you're in the chat, let us know if, for whatever reason, you can't hear or see very well. Every so often, I accidentally click something, and then, and in my experiences, I've had the game go off the screen, and if no one lets me know. All right, so we have an interrupt. Looks like a Monarch lost. That's going to get sensed from Obi. Alter from Dark. And the Monarch goes through. Kills 2 Grimtoshes. 2 Forces Strong with this one. Oh, that would have been spicy. So I guess Paul was waiting to play that. He had to have at least one of them when he passed, you know? Because that is going to add 2 Battle Destiny. So
Yeah, that would have, wow.
yeah, so he would have tried to bait him into battling, draw pretty high, and maybe get rid of 2 of those characters and then beat up on presumably like Vader. But if he draws like somewhat high, he might be able to get rid of like Vader and Garindon. But at that point, John would probably forfeit so he doesn't leave himself open. Forfeit characters in an order that he doesn't get beat down. So control phase for John here. Turn 4. He's got 2 more force to work with. Probably not another character. Debating if he wants to battle. Now that he knows everything's in his hand and he's got rid of the 2 good cards. Or not the 2 good cards. The 2 cards that he was worried about. But now, of course, Paul's holding a sorry about the mess. So John might have to deal with that. Yeah, so it looks like he's going to try to just proactively. So he doesn't lose Tarkin like on Paul's turn. Paul's just activating so little, only 4. Like, he can barely put down like Han or Leia if he has them. All right, so 4 versus 3. And we have the cancel, of course, from Tarkin.
Yeah, I imagine that DRTORCH wishes there was another site out right now. You could at least try and neighbor him out of there.
Yeah, he can't go to the holo table, of course.
No.
Yeah, wow. So, but now I'm sorry. I'm thinking that Obi has a saber. He couldn't play sorry about the mess. Yeah,
right.
It's not his lightsaber.
Utility belt.
Just the belt. Yeah. But now, like, if John finds a saber, he could then end circle. Obviously, he'd have to find both of them. He could still get rid of Obi with the belt, right? Obi needs the belt and his saber to survive through Vader and his saber on circle.
So yeah, Obi would be circle adds 2. If you have a lightsaber, is that right?
Yeah, and I think it's just add power.
Yeah.
Which is a good.
Yeah, so the lightsaber adds 2. Yeah, Darth Vader could circle Obi if he has a lightsaber.
It's a good opportunity to plug Scomp Link Access, which is like our card lookup tool. And there's a couple different ways to do it, but it's probably the best one. Just Scomp, scomp.starwarsccg.org if you're viewing and you, again, a new returning player coming back. Looks like no battle yet. So I was just gonna look up Circle just to be certain. Although I'm sure someone in the chat realizes it. So yeah, use 1 force to duel, compare power, add 2 of lightsaber, loser out of play. All right, so we got DS613 comes down, some forfeit fodder, or maybe just additional power. Yeah, it's kind of pretty bad variance here for Paul in that he just isn't getting any locations. My light deck for this format, I started Throne Room and then played like 4 Obi-Wan's Huts. Just because I was terrified of like scanning crews, just constantly getting rid of Obi, and then me never being able to set up like a viable sense alter thing. Light side draws another 0, but cancel it anyway. Ellis is a 4, that becomes a 5. And now Paul's going to be peeling again. He's going to have to lose Luke. Dark loses nothing. So we'll see if Life Force counts. John is up a lot, 43. He's at 46, so he's up 12, but he's down 1 in hand. So he's up 11 total, but looks like a pretty good board today.
15 cards in his lost pile already.
Yeah. Wow. And then John just draws another 4 to replenish. Because at this point, you know, if he can build good sense alter, he can prevent like a neighbor and runaway at some point or whatever. All right, so Paul found a location. That's really big. Even though if he abandons the hut, it's going to be a drain of 3. But maybe he could run away and revolution it, hopefully, and back it up if you're him. All right, so we got a saber. Let me make sure that we're not blocking anything here. It's a little smaller. Whoops. Always does that. There we go. Alright, so Obi runs away. Light side queues up 2 damage, dark side 3, and has got a pretty good head start here, so we'll see how this evolves. Let's close the activation disparity a little bit by 1.
If there's anybody that could come back from this,
Yeah.
it would be DRTORCH.
I mean, I streamed the game 5. I don't know if you saw that where he had the one Ellis Hell. Looked like I think Matt had him on the ropes, and he Ellis Hell rodded away and drew a 0. Had to be a blind 0, but that was pretty wild. That was luck, but of course Paul is a very, very, very skilled player. But that was pretty wild. All right, so he loses an Obi from hand, Obi from reserve, and in one of the 2 zeros he's got floating around his reserve deck that he's now drawn a couple times. The Ruins he drew once, the Moisture Farm I think he drew another time. All right, we got Undercover on Garinden. Of course, we know that Paul has Sorry About the Mess, so John's probably hoping to line up some Senses and Altars to protect from the mess. So we might see like a Tentacle or a Grappling Hook play.
But yeah, DRTORCH, four top 8s at Worlds in the 90s. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was 96, 7. I don't think he did the operative year. I think it was 6, 7, maybe 9 in 2000. No, not 2000. Yeah, maybe it was 2000. 2000 or 2001, maybe. I I built the spreadsheet for this at one point. I could check it pretty quickly. As we see a scanning crew. Yeah, let me look that up. Maybe he did do the operative year, which that gives me an opportunity to mention that we have the annual online retro event coming up about 2 months from now. It's going to start end of April. Registration will open in about a month. Go to forum.starwarsccg.org. There's a separate forum towards the top. Online retro event. It's Premiere to Special Edition, so the 1998 or late 1998, early 1999 era. That should be a lot of fun. We'll see post-nerf operatives, because the errata, of course, will be in effect.
It's kind of interesting playing these formats that I believe have not had a lot of attention or a lot of play, right? Like Premiere Special Edition.
Yeah, the Premiere Special Edition with all the errata is it's a bit of an untapped meta, so that should be good. There's going to be a lot of similarities, but some of the stuff at the fringes, especially like operatives, will impact it. So that'll be exciting if someone figures out something new or super innovative or uses some cards that we're not used to seeing.
Right.
All right, so Scanning Crew got Luke, and John just drew a few more, so he's up to 14 in hand. And DRTORCH gets 2. Oh, he didn't move Garinden over. Did he not have the force to do it? And he didn't save any this turn either.
He's got to wait until Torch's turn to move.
Oh, duh, yeah,
Since he put it under cover first.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking like a turn ahead.
Another Luke.
Yeah, a lot of Lukes and Obis, obviously. 2 strongest characters.
Oh, he didn't leave himself any force to move Garinden.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that too. Alright, so I finally found it here. If I could zoom in. So yeah, so Paul finished 5th in 96, 3rd in 97, 11th in 99, and 11th in 2000. Yes, it was 2000, the Matt Sokol year. They had 12 people get to day 3 back then, and they brought that back in the early PC era, but it's mostly been 8. Alright, so that was a little detour, but we have the Drain of 3 at the hut, and DRTORCH loses Altar, Utility Belt, and Grimtosh off the top. All 3 off the top. He's down to 24 force. He's down 13 face card, and down 4, so he's down a lot. He's got a lot of ground to make up. And maybe we'll start seeing some trickery. You might have to take some chances here with a Neighborin or Disarmed, or some Sense Altar War might kind of determine how this ultimately plays out, but maybe John's figuring as Charles mentions in the chat, like, no point in making Gurinden susceptible to a sorry about the mess until he's like, until like maybe the math changes in the match, or until he's like positive he can win a sense alter war over that mess, right?
Makes
As it
sense.
is now, we might as well just sit tight and just kind of keep wearing each other down because he's obviously advantaged.
Yeah.
So the winner of this will go to 6-0 for the event. There is a third 6-0 in the event who got paired down just by random to a 5-1 player or a 4-1 player, and that is Joe Horby, and they're playing. He's playing Adam Roddick on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. And I think we're gonna be able to cover that, or at 6 p.m. I think actually. I think Dan, our stream team lead, is probably gonna cover that live. As we see some drains here, Moss Eisley from hand, Cantina from hand, from John here. And then if Adam upsets Joe, then whoever wins this wins the event, gets the uncut sheet, which I think is a New Hope. I should check if it's a New Hope rare. I actually pulled that up. What the stakes are here. That would be good to know, right? Monarch from reserve.
And then if there are two people that finish 6-0, there's like a tiebreaker match or something.
Yes, yeah. So that will be a one-game playoff, and whoever has the higher SOS will pick the side for that game, and that'll take place next week sometime. And then pretty much the rest of the participants in the league, assuming they're doing both events, will have like 2 solid weeks in between to kind of at least 2, maybe even more, prep for the next event. For Premiere to Endor, which will run, like I said, it's gonna be another 6-game Swiss event. I'm just actually starting. I have 4 decks queued up that I have to. I'm gonna build them and mess around with them. There's a league right now for online play week that's Premiere to Endor, so people can get some reps in there, get some gem prizes, and that's a online play week. So if you just go to Star Wars, it's actually the message of the day in gem. So play.starwarsccg.org, message of the day. You can learn all about online play week, get some cool prizes. You don't have to do too much to do it. I've already got a lot of submissions, probably more than last year. As of this pace, we still have another 4 or 5 days. It goes through the 26th. But that also, and I don't want to detract too much from the action here, as Obi and Luke move in front and dodge Gurinden. But that format just got a refresh because it had been including Enhanced Cloud City, Enhanced Jabba's Palace, and the third anthology, which all kind of came out like at least 6 months after Endor. So there's kind of like a judgment call to take those away from Premiere to Endor format on Jemp. So it's not literally, or this one actually is literally all the sets and premium sets that were available when Endor was released. But some of the other sets, there's a little more judgment involved. Like Premiere, for example, includes the Rebel Leader Pack and includes the 2-player game, even though those technically came out after Premiere was released. All right, so we get some more action here. So Oslo joins Blizzard 2, or pilots Blizzard 2. And it looks like we're going to have a battle here from Dark. Starting the battle, up 11 force, and of course they get a cancel, but light side can carve up some fools with lightsabers.
Yeah, he's got two lightsabers. Grand Moff Tarkin is definitely at risk here when he's standing out in the open. It's good to see a Blizzard Walker, though. I would have been pretty disappointed if we made it through this whole match without seeing a Blizzard Walker. So
yeah. All right, so dark battles. Let's see if we got any tricks in this. Swing at Tarkin. Not a good start for Paul here. Obviously, at least has to make Tarkin burn the canceller, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
All right, okay. So we'll see. Does he cancel? I mean. No, he's going to let it go through. Yeah, because he's going to maybe save it for, make sure Vader doesn't get hit, or just cancel it if there is only one Battle Destiny that light side has queued up. Just save the cancel for that. Of course, we don't have stuff like Clash of Sabers yet. That doesn't come out till Cloud City, or like Blaster for Proficiency, which are fun cards to remove characters from the middle of a battle, which can be blowouts. Torch goes for DS613 to get rid of his forfeit. Easily hits him. Would have hit Vader, but of course hindsight's 2020.
So 21 to 10 on power here. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's huge. So you have gifts. If John has a sense, he's gonna be playing it, right?
Yes, I would assume so.
Unless like he has one sense in his hand and no altars and yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, so dark senses, light altars, and these are just fun. It's called sense altar wars.
I do enjoy them.
I mean that like 50% jokingly and 50% like seriously that they're fun. They're either fun or
Yeah.
like awful. Depends what
Oh
side you
man.
end up. All right, so gift of the mentor is gone. It is unique, so we can't play it again. Even if it has a second copy, of course. And this is. Oh no, wait. What did I miss? Oh, so light did get it through, huh?
Yeah, he only played the one sense, and then
Oh, my bad.
Paul's altar, DRTORCH's altar canceled
Oh,
the sense. And
I
that was
got it. Tyrant was the battle destiny. For a second, I thought Tyrant was the sense draw. My bad. All right, so he's gonna draw 3, 3, 4. Lots of more sack.
So is he gonna have just a Vader left after this?
Oof. Oh man, this will be an impressive comeback if Paul pulls this off. So can he peel here? Yeah. So everyone's immune. Yeah, he only drew a 2. So he could peel all this and just keep Luke and Obi on table, which would take his life force pretty down. But it's probably a pretty good, probably prudent, just given the board control that he would maintain or retain.
Okay, so he's losing Vader. He probably must have. I bet he's got another Vader in his hand.
And he's gonna run away with Blizzard too, right?
Probably.
And Paul's still peeling Beggar.
Gosh, interesting though. That made things interesting.
Yeah. This, I think, if you're like a newer returning player, like sometimes you just instinctively be like, oh, I can't peel all that force. I'm just gonna lose my characters. But that was 7 force he peeled. He peeled like 5 or 6 earlier. That Obi's still on the table. Like there's some times where it might be really tough to swallow losing all that force, but it is the better long-term play.
Yep.
I know, I mentioned him again, our technology advocate, Adam, mentions that in like, I think in WAP, we have a plan. I think he mentions a lot, or I think he says in the we have a plan matchup versus like Watto, he's like, he always ends up peeling a ton of force. And when he was very actively playing, doing very well with WAP, it was usually the better play, but it's tough to stomach in the moment. All right, so 2 damage here coming from light.
Okay, so let's see.
But yeah, U.S. Nationals. So yeah, we're doing the retro event. I think it's a 4-game Swiss, probably with the final confrontation. I'm pretty sure. And Premiere to Death Star 2. And then there's also going to be concurrently a cube, which is going to be like open cards as well. So players can play either of them. All right, we have a neighbor in here. But that'll be fun. Then there'll be the main event on Saturday and then a consolation event on Sunday, which will also be like a 6-game Swiss for players who don't make the top 8. All right, so Paul is going to chase down Blizzard 2 and Ozzel. And if he's got another gift, I mean, or he just needs to draw a 4. Or if he draws a 5, the whole thing dies, right? 4 would kill Ozzel.
Yeah.
Well, we got another 3 power, so now he's outpowering by 5. So even if they match destinies, he's got to lose Ozzel in 1. Tank Obi here.
Yeah, that's a big Obi.
Can we put anything else on him? Can we put like, effects or devices? All right, so we get the battle. It's kind of like nowadays, sometimes you'll see like a Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight with like Luke's bionic hand, and he could have proficiency. Ooh, 0 for Battle Destiny. That's not good. If John draws like a 3 here, he'll kill Luke, right? Oh, a 6. Wow. All right, so Luke's going to die. Man, this is amazing that players are activating so little, 7 and 6. But I mean, some people will say this is like a very like skillful game. Then you have to players have to really decide what they're going to do with each turn. They might even be intentionally
Right.
like we saw John throw away a Mos Eisley and a Cantina. So like there's like decision making there. Like you don't want to put out too many locations because then you're allowing your opponent to run, or they could become liabilities. So that's where there's definite skill and decision making, even though the card pool is not tremendous.
Yeah. Now, if he remembers where that 6 is, that'll be
Yeah.
a big thing in a couple turns here.
It's very far down, right? I think it's the bottom card, wasn't it?
You know,
So, but
yeah.
he could track it, but it might take a few turns. All right, so we get some more activation here with Kessel coming out. That's the card that just started appearing more in open. Darkside Kessel works well with the Thrawn deck. All right, so black 3 and Commander Prodigy. One of our remastered cards because it's errata and it's A to D have been remastered, so it's nice and crisp and clear on Gemp. But this thing does not, or there's no Battle Destiny here, but might be just betting that Paul with a 6-card hand isn't, and only activating 7 isn't going to like overflow him here.
Yeah.
Maybe that's another reason
And
why we don't see a ton of Gix and Hujixes, because it's just if activation's low, you don't. It's a little harder to get huge beatdowns in.
Yeah, that's kind of what I found. I tried using Guk and Hujix for a while, and it just didn't really do much.
You end up drawing it for Destiny, right? When you don't want it.
Yeah, draw for Destiny, or just sit in my hand the whole game. And
all right, so John turned the tide here a little bit back. He had control for the game. A couple big battles there, or the drawing the 0 was rough. 0 versus 6. Wow, that was extremes. All right, so we have the mess against Garinden. Gonna be real tough for John to sense this now, with only an ability 2 character on table. All right, so Garinden's gonna die, and then we're gonna see a drain of 3 here. But he's got to cover up that drain at the hut, right? Like, you can't just trade 3 for 4, given he's down 38 to 22 hand in life.
No, he can't really give up any drains. Because that one drain of 1 at Kessel, that's going to be annoying for him.
Yeah.
It's going to be annoying for Paul.
But this is where, and of course Paul knows this, like, but if again, some of these, I would hope people coming back to the game, watch some of these streams to kind of just learn and get better and get more familiar with the format. But like, he has to move Obi in front, right? Like, he can't, he has to take the risk that tank Obi can fight the Walker. But at the same time, like, John has 12 cards in his hand. Like, he has to have a few characters or vehicles in there. So is he just totally walking into a trap? Like, or he might need to, like, it might be better for Paul to just draw and try and find like another Luke or like a Chewie or something. But Chewie's like trample bait. But this might go rough. But I guess he's just got to take the chance that John has like just a bad hand, a lot of red.
Yep.
So this will be another big turn here. Turn 11 for John coming up. And of course he could do. This is where like Monarch. Yeah, even if your opponent doesn't have 13 cards in hand or 17 cards in hand but like just getting that information and it can be well worth the 4 force and a lost card sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Prevent you from just totally doing something you're going to regret.
Right. Oh,
it could be worse. Okay. Interesting.
I'm having some flashbacks when I play DRTORCH and he plays. It could be worse all the time.
Yeah. He does it in open too.
He likes that card.
Yeah, and he probably has like something to back up against an It's Worse. Probably a censored 3.
Right.
Because that would end the game if John had an It's Worse right now that he got through. All right, yeah. So in that 12 card hand, he's got 1 vehicle. Any pilot here is going to turn this into another 9 power. Not having Savrip out is probably pretty brutal for Paul.
Yeah, that would be really good for him.
Let's see, we don't have another pilot yet. So there it is. There's Cabell. So his game text with a leader subtracts 1 from total battle destiny. So
that's really good. It's really good to have a leader, right? Ozzel's a leader.
Ozzel's definitely a leader. Yep.
On 2 Blizzard Walkers that are immune to attrition less than 4.
Effectively 5, right? Yeah, with Cabell. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got Torch has got to draw a 5 or better to do anything.
It's probably pretty unlikely that he's going to get over. Whoa, another 6. Woof. Not.
Okay, that might be
Yeah.
the game.
Oh, another wow. So we had 6-0 and 6-1,
Yeah.
and that goes to 0. So John's gonna lose nothing. That's a tough draw for Paul, but he says nice in the chat, so good sportsmanship.
Yeah. Probably a little bit nicer than I would be.
Doesn't say something like some people you encounter like, oh, that's BS, or very lucky, or yeah, make your own luck, right? Isn't that what Han Solo said?
Yeah. Yeah, that's 2 Blizzard Walkers at Obi-Wan's hut. That's a real problem.
So yeah, I mean, John holds on to this, and then potentially if Joe wins, I mean, that's pretty cool that these two players. Like I said, I hadn't really been familiar with them beyond about a year ago, so presumably they're returning players, but they're both really strong, and it's one of the cool things about this game. To some extent, it's like riding a bike. And so some of these players, I'm sure, had lots of experience back in the day, or maybe they have played. For all I know, maybe they've been playing retro with the play group locally or on Holotable for the last 25 years, for all I know. But would be curious to hear kind of the story. All right, Obi's back.
I know I've played against JPC a lot in the last month or two, just playing games, playing Premiere-Hoth. He's been playing a lot.
Yeah. All right, so Obi comes down, gets the deploy -3 at the hut, but then just runs away. I don't know what. Let's see. I'm sure Paul's. I don't blame him. Maybe trying to find something that might help here, but this looks like it's going to be really hard for him to win here. They got the same amount of cards in hand, but John is up 14 in face down cards, and he's threatening more damage, significantly more damage, 4-1.
Yep.
And we're not going to have it. It could be worse here because he's got nothing saved. Disarm from hand. Drain Kessel. Goes a neighboring.
But this year, it felt like there were a lot of different twists and stuff that people had with decks this year versus last year's Premiere-Hoth.
Oh man, U3PO covering up the one drain. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention earlier too. So like one of the, I think the concerted things we're going to try to do, in conjunction with Steve Sanders, the league organizer, and Andy Talaga, who's very involved in making videos, and he's going to be the lead on the online retro event, and he's going to be leading the organization of the World's retro event, which is going to be in August, second weekend of August, I think. Yeah, in Morristown, New Jersey. So if you're in the Northeast or if you're anywhere, you're welcome to join that as well. So there'll be a retro event for that as well, in addition to the U.S. Nationals in Minneapolis that we talked about earlier, which is coming up at the end of March. Savert goes down here to threaten Adrena too. But we want to make a concerted attempt to make some more deck lists, or building a repository. I see it all the time, especially in like the Facebook group or the Discord, where they definitely slants more old school, but people come back, hey, do you have any Premiere-Hoth format lists? And there is a repository that Stephen Skilton did, just kind of captured all the deck tech decks. But I was just looking today for Endor. It looks like it goes back only until like August of '99, spans like till like end of 2002 maybe. So there's like a hole basically in deck list resources for these old formats. So hopefully we could build that up, and hopefully people would be willing to share their decks after the event, and create a more of a database. As we see, it could be worse on the 3.
Yeah, and I think that some of these formats like Premiere-Hoth can be a little bit easier for people to pick the game back up or to start playing the game.
Yeah, it's definitely the card pool is much smaller.
Yeah.
My only
so
comment.
Many cards.
Yeah, my only comment with that is if people have ultimately if their goals are just to play retro, that's awesome. If they want to do it online in person, do like casual leagues, do stuff like this, which is a little more competitive. That's totally fine. If your end goal is to end up playing open and playing it competitively, I'd probably suggest kind of jumping in the deep end of the pool, and
Yeah.
just starting to just gradually chip away at learning what open cards do and watching open games. But whatever people want to do, that's what the great tool the Jump is that people can do sealed stuff. There's cubes available. The sealed stuff's really neat, as you know, we don't really have a lot of sealed product left, and definitely none that's worth kind of, or very rare to crack it for playing.
Yep.
Rare that does that make sense? Although I think Bjorn is doing like a sealed event in Norway. I think I saw in like November.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I could go. I would just have to bring the whole family. Apparently,
yeah,
that's what the wife says.
yeah, yeah. From Scandinavia. All right, so Vader down here with the saber. It looks like John is not content to just let U3PO block the drain here. Dan's Borin. Forfeit fodder. He's only 1 power, right? Oh,
Yeah,
DS6.
1 power, 3 forfeit.
Got another 2 power here with DS61. May as well. He's definitely not getting cute, I would say, John. He's not just like holding these guys back. He's looking to go for a kill shot here. Get rid of Obi. He's got at least a couple 6s floating around, right? We know there's an image of the Dark Lord in there somewhere and a circle.
Yeah, 2 6s floating around.
All right, so he's gonna miss here with 3-3. And draws a 1, which becomes a 2.
Not a 6 there.
Yeah, so this did not go well, relatively speaking, for John. Paul draws a 3, so he's gonna have to either peel 2 or, which he probably is gonna do. This stage he's kind of pot committed to keeping Obi on the table. Rather, he only has so many force left to redeploy or get back out there, so it's probably better just to toss the 2. But again, this is strength of schedule format, so it doesn't matter if you win the game by 1 or by 40. It just goes down as a win. And at the end of the 6 games, kind of calculate, or the standings are determined. Tiebreakers are determined by the quality of the opponents that you had. Which early in your first couple games, it's kind of random, but you know if you start off strong, your opponents are. In case people aren't familiar with Swiss format, I know you're aware of this, Will, but in case other people, newer, more novice players tuning in, if you start off strong, your strength schedule is going to be strong because you're constantly playing other people with good records, who presumably are going to have good records throughout. Not necessarily. Your 3-0 opponent, when you're 3-0, might end up 3-3, but by and large, you keep winning, you keep playing stronger opponents. All right, so DRTORCH is going to get the drain at 2 at the holo table. And yeah, I mean, just early on, Torch just couldn't find his locations. And was really choked, only activating 4 for first several turns. But yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how many locations he runs. If he really tries to do a minimal amount, or if he just did just get unlucky at the beginning with not finding anything.
Yeah, and that'll be cool as we get to Premiere to Endor, where like we don't. That's when Imperial Rust Order and Insurrection are out, so people can pull docking bays. Lightside has like tunnel vision, so they can find locations. I'm trying to think of what other ways. Jabba's Palace can get sites out for dark, so there's more tutoring and downloading of locations, which I think is unequivocally better. That no one likes drawing zeros for Destiny.
Tunnel vision is something I hadn't thought of, so thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Like I was looking at the sample decks. I think if it's accessible on the forum, it might be in like the retro forum under deck discussion. But there's one deck I saw that had like 4 tunnel visions. I'm like, tunnel vision's a strong card.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like Dagobah, the Dagobah system for light helps get activation out. So then you really might just like float like a lower corridor or like a Kessel. So you don't have to play like, because it's always this balance of there's some super strong locations. So do you play 2 of them? Like in this format, people are playing like 2 ice planes usually, and all the Twixes on Yavin 4 for light.
Yep.
But yeah, we have a battle here from Dark again. He's going to try to hit Obi. He draws a Conquest. This looks like it's going to be a miss. Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is, there's a 6. Okay, so that's pretty big for John. But you can almost get to a point where you almost like, if you're just draining for 2 versus 1, that can really add up as the game kind of comes in for a landing. Because, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like a lot of the cards down are red cards probably. Senses Altars. But that's why Paul's, I'm sure, not giving up. No giving up. Oh, there we go. As I say that, he says, good game. Yeah, so Obi's going to die here, and then he's only got 2 cards in hand, so not going to be able to deal with that drain of 3 at the hut. But we don't see a formal concession yet, so it's probably coming shortly. But yeah, so John will either win the event or he'll play Joe next week. Again, just a reminder, the other consequential game, I'll say, is going to be Sunday at 6 p.m. is the plan, and we'll update that and hopefully promote that in a couple of different places. Plan will be to promote it in a couple places for Star Wars CCG social media. And yeah, that should be fun.
Yep.
And then everyone in the league will kind of pivot. We had 55 players in this event, which is awesome. We might gain a couple, we might lose a couple for Premiere to Endor, but I think this year versus last year, the awareness is a lot higher, so I think a lot more people are going to be in for all 5, or at least in from the start. Maybe they don't do the last one if they don't like the Reflections 2 era. But pretty fun stuff. I didn't do the Premiere to A New Hope or Premiere-Hoth last year. I thought it was just a little too far back, but it wasn't too bad that I did this year.
So you had a little rough entrance into the Premiere-Hoth in the first round of this tournament, right?
Yeah, I lost to you, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I was I light or dark? I think I was. I can't remember.
I was light. I know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I was playing a speeders deck, and I don't think you were quite expecting that.
No. Yeah, and Under the Shield and all. Yeah, and I remember I did not manage my U3PO well. I think at one point I broke his cover, be like, oh, I'll be free from R3PO now. And you were like, no, I'm not going to take him. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this didn't work. It's like, I got to brush up on my U3PO rules. Yeah, that was fun. And I think I forgot to move him a turn or forgot to, whatever. But yeah. All right, so we have the formal concession here. Thanks to John and Paul for coordinating and letting us know when they were going to stream here. But yeah, that's about all I have. So we plugged the other game. Again, if you're interested in the Retro League, if you're just finding this, if you go to StarWarsCCG.org, or the PC's homepage, on the news, there's an article that's among the recent articles about the Retro League restarting. So check that out. You can still sign up for the other 4 events. But yeah, other than that, Will, thanks a lot for joining me tonight. This was a lot of fun. And we'll have to do it again as we go through the rest of the events and have more opportunities in these consequential games late in each event.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be playing in them next round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not, though.
Yeah. Alrighty, man. Thanks a lot. And thanks to everyone for tuning in live or on replay. And may the Force be with you.